Welcome to The Explainer. Ever wonder what makes your favorite apps just work flawlessly? Well, today we're pulling back the curtain on the invisible blueprint behind every single reliable digital service out there. IT Service Design.
All right, so here's what we're going to get into. We'll kick things off by figuring out why so many services stumble out of the gate. Then we'll introduce the framework that prevents that from happening. After that, we'll look at how everyone actually agrees on the design, how we make sure it's resilient, and finally, how we secure the whole thing.
So first things first, why on earth do we even need a blueprint for a digital service? Well, it really all comes down to avoiding those little cracks in the foundation that can bring the whole house down. And it starts with a question I think we've all screamed at our phones before.
I mean, we've all been there, right? That shiny new app launches, you download it, and it immediately crashes. Or that new system at work goes live and it just doesn't do what anyone needed it to do. It's so frustrating for us as users, and honestly, it can be a total disaster for the business. So why does this keep happening?
This quote right here, it just hits the nail on the head. The root cause, so often, is that there was no solid blueprint to begin with. You would never, ever build a skyscraper without a detailed architectural plan, right? So why do we so often try to build these mission-critical IT services without one? It's kind of crazy when you think about it. And that's exactly where service design comes into play. It acts as that crucial, detailed blueprint to make sure services are not only built to last, but also built to serve their actual purpose. It is all about thinking through every single detail up front so you can prevent those messy failures down the line.
Okay, so we've established we need a blueprint, but what does that blueprint actually look like? What's inside? Let's dive into the core principles of the service design framework.
Now, this definition is so important. Service design is not just about building cool technology for the sake of it. It's about delivering real, tangible business value. You'll often hear the technical terms fit for purpose and fit for use. Fit for purpose means it actually does what the customer needs, and fit for use means it's reliable, it's secure, and it's there when they need it. You need both. So any good blueprint has to account for these four fundamental elements. We call them the 4 Ps: the people, the processes, the products, and the partners. This holistic view is what makes it so powerful. It forces you to think beyond just the software and consider, who is actually going to run this thing, how are they going to manage it, and which outside companies are we depending on. So all of this careful planning comes together in one master document, the Service Design Package, or SDP. This thing is the complete set of blueprints. It's got everything, from the technical specs and security requirements to the original business case. And then this whole package is handed over to the construction crew in the next phase, which is called service transition. Okay, but let's be real. A blueprint is totally useless if the client, the person paying for the building, hasn't actually agreed to it. So let's see how that alignment happens. This slide shows something really important, the two different views of what's called the service catalog. On one side, you've got the business catalog. Think of this as the glossy show-home brochure for the customer. It explains what the service does in simple, easy-to-understand terms. But on the other side, you have the technical catalog. That's the contractor's spec sheet for the internal IT teams, detailing how all the wires connect and how all the underlying pieces work together. Now, this is the master contract, the service level agreement, or SLA. This is the formal written promise to the client about exactly how the service will perform once it's built. It defines critical things like uptime, performance targets, and support hours. This is what turns a cool piece of tech into a reliable business tool. But here's the thing. An SLA can't just stand on its own. It's supported by two other kinds of agreements. You've got operational level agreements, or OLAs, which are promises between internal IT teams. And then you have underpinning contracts, or UCs, which are promises you get from your external suppliers. It's like a pyramid, right? The SLA is the promise you see at the top, but it's held up by this strong foundation of agreements underneath it. And this table just lays it all out so clearly. You see how it all connects? If your SLA promises the customer 99.9% uptime, you absolutely need an OLA with your internal network team and a UC with your cloud provider that both guarantee they can support that promise. It creates this unbroken chain of accountability from the smallest supplier all the way up to the customer. All right, let's shift gears. We've agreed on the design. Now let's talk about how we design a service that won't just collapse under pressure. Let's talk resilience. Availability is really the heart of resilience. It's a simple measure. Is the service up and running when you need it? And the thing is, high availability never, ever happens by accident. It has to be designed and engineered into the service from the very first sketch. Now, this is where the math gets, well, a little scary and really important. So 98% availability for one component, that sounds pretty good, doesn't it? But look what happens. If your service depends on 3 of those components all working in a chain, the total availability plummets to just over 94%. That's the classic a chain is only as strong as its weakest link problem, and it's exactly why good service design is obsessed with getting rid of single points of failure. So, how do you actually plan for this stuff? Well, you use a process called capacity management. This involves analyzing what we call patterns of business activity. So, for example, this chart shows that demand for a service spikes way up in the summer months. By predicting these peaks, we can make absolutely sure the service has enough capacity, enough horsepower, storage, and bandwidth to handle that extra load without slowing to a crawl or crashing.
And for true, deep resilience, you need a continuity plan. Think of this as the building's fire escape plan. It's the process for getting critical services back online if the absolute worst happens. And we're not just talking about data backups. We're talking about a tested, reliable plan to recover from anything from a simple server failure to a major natural disaster.
And finally, a great building needs a great security system, and it needs contractors you can trust. Let's talk about securing the entire ecosystem.
Information security management is that security system, but it's a much more balanced approach than just throwing up a bunch of firewalls. It focuses on these core objectives: confidentiality, making sure only the right people see the data; integrity, making sure the data isn't tampered with; availability, making sure you can get to it; and authenticity, making sure you can trust the transactions. It's all about protecting the organization's most valuable asset, its information.
And then there's supplier management. This process makes sure all your partners and contractors are reliable, and you can't treat them all the same. A strategic partner who provides a critical, high-risk component needs way more management and oversight than, say, a commodity supplier who just sells you office supplies. It's all about managing risk. So, what's the big takeaway here? When it's done right, good service design completely transforms IT. It stops being a reactive cost center that just fixes things, and it becomes a strategic asset to the business. It's the difference between a service that's a constant headache and one that is a reliable, solid platform for growth and success. So, the next time you use an app or a website and it just works perfectly, take a second. Will you think about the invisible blueprint, the incredible amount of planning and design that made that seamless experience possible? That's our explainer on service design. Thanks for watching.